Mastering the market. So today I'm going to show you not only how to overcome objections so we can master the market and thrive in 2024, but I know a lot of you are discouraged right now, so I'm also going to show you why the difficulties of today are nearing an end and you're about to embark on the biggest surge of home buying in US history. And I'm going to do this with factual data and scripting that I've found to be effective. I want you to take a second to think about what percentage of potential home buyers think now is a good time to buy a home. Well, if you're watching this, it's probably no surprise that there's a pessimistic stance on home buying right now. So pay attention to the decline over the last 6 months. The most alarming thing to me is from June of 2023 through November of 2023, that percentage has gone from 22% down to 14%. Same thing on the seller side. So the media likes to hype things up because, let's face it, bad news sells, which is exasperating this sentiment. So while 60% do still think it's a good time to sell, the steady decline is what's alarming to me. Despite all this, we know there's a bunch of people who want to buy and sell because we talk to them every day. So we have to figure out how to overcome the objections, but first we need to figure out what the objections are. So the first objection we're going to talk about is that the market will crash. So let's look at that. The gray areas indicate recessions, and the blue shows the median sales price of homes. So you'll see here that even if you bought a home during the worst housing recession in 2008, the facts show that you are far wealthier today than you were then. The reality is our population grows faster than we can build houses. So that means there are not enough houses to support the demand. So even if there's a temporary dip, if you hold on to it, eventually the values go up. And that is validated by statistics. To further support this, going back to 1942, there have in fact been only 6 years in all of the decades where houses did not appreciate. We had pockets of the country that went down here and there, but at a national level, there are such increases in value prior to the recessions and recovery after. It shows that it's impossible to lose here. I don't know if you invest in the stock market, but seriously, can you think of any other investments that have a 90% success rate? I can't. So the next objection, of course, is that rates are too high. So let's look at that. Since 1950, we've had 10 recessions, which are shown by these gray bars. During all these great times, rates are rising. And because the data that they're using is several months behind, they always take it too far and then it subsequently drops. Every economist knows that the Feds always overcorrect, and this time is no different. Why is the history of rates important? Because history predicts the future. So all the people waiting for rates to drop, which I have now shown you that they will, are building up this pent-up demand. And how can I say this with certainty? Because it's happened every single time in history. But this doesn't help us overcome the objection that rates are too high now, right? What will help us overcome that is having solutions for buyers to help lower their payment either now or in the future, and showing them why waiting for rates to go down could backfire. So how do we get buyers off the fence now? Well, we're going to start by focusing on payment. A 0.5% difference in rate doesn't change the payment as much as many people think when it's spread out over 360 months. And there are solutions for lower payments now. We can utilize temporary or permanent rate buy downs. There are other things I do as well as a strategic mortgage advisor, such as utilize reduced mortgage insurance programs. We're going to also remind them that home values are still going up, so even if rates do go down, if the cost of the home is higher, their payment may be higher as well. If they do buy now, they can take advantage of today's prices and still have the opportunity for a lower payment in the future utilizing our rate rebound program. So this program will allow them to refinance with us up to 5 years after closing with no lender fees, no appraisal fees, and we will give them a $1,000 credit towards third-party fees such as title work. And lastly, we're going to remind them that when rates do drop, all of the people on the sidelines will be competing for the same house, resulting in bidding wars, which we just saw in 2021. What does all this data teach us? It teaches us that values are going up on the long-term trajectory, owning a home is the best investment you can make in your life, and rates are going down, which will bring out buyers who are sitting on the sidelines. More data to support this is that housing is seriously undersupplied. So why is this market different from the crash of 2008? This market is different because we have very few houses for sales. And Economy 101 is supply and demand. It's that simple. So the blue line here is the month supply of housing in the US going back to 1965. If you look from the right to the left, we haven't been this short on supply of existing homes for sale since the 1980s. The current housing shortfall is 1.6 million homes. Same thing goes for new construction. Each of these vertical lines are decade-long columns since 1939. So I want you to look at the 1970 to 2009 columns. This goes in thousands, so we were building 1.5 to 1.8 million new homes per year. Since 2010, for a full decade now, we've dropped to about 1 million new homes, which is less than the population is growing. Not only is inventory low, the other huge component is that demand will soon be high, and I'm going to show you why. Look at where we are today. So the upper right arrow, you're going to see that the median age for first-time home buyers is 34. If you draw your eyes to the red bars, you'll see there are more people in this age bracket than any other demographic. So what does that mean for you? It means all of you are sitting on the front doorsteps of the biggest wave of home buying that has ever happened in the US. So the baby boom was close, it was huge, but this is your biggest generation in history. Why do we not feel it? We don't feel it right now because the Feds raised the interest rates, but we're coming to the end of that. Long term, they're headed down and it's going to drive these potential home buyers off the sidelines. It won't take much to get them off the sidelines because so many people want to own homes and there's millions of potential home buyers that are going to age into their prime home buying age in a couple of years. Speaking of prime home buying age, you'll see here that the gray line along the bottom is the median home ownership for people under the age of 35. But look what happens the moment you go over the age of 35. The next row, home buying doesn't just increase slightly, it jumps way up from 38 to 62%. That is a massive increase. Facts matter, and these are the things that can get somebody off the fence and say, whoa, I do not want to be buying when everybody else is. Are there any homes for sale today that I might like? Buying this winter would be the smartest decision any potential home buyer could make. So I want to show you one more graph that puts this all in perspective. So look at age 28 to 38. There's 50 million Americans. So age 34, as we know, is the median, but there are buyers around that age as well. If you look at that sector compared to the rest, your future is on fire. This could not be a better win-win scenario for anybody in real estate right now. You think you've had some good years, you haven't seen anything yet. So one of the many advantages of homeownership is building wealth. So this shows all income brackets in the US. Renters are the green bar on the right, the orange bar are homeowners, and show that the #1 driver for wealth is homeownership. By the way, the non-housing wealth is things like your 401k investments, etc. To show you the huge discrepancy as a visual, if you take the second from the right, owners have over $4 million of net worth and renters only have 116. So here's how we dispel the myth that now's a bad time to buy. The benefits of homeownership have not changed. Rates are projected to go down. The demographics are going to push the millennials of prime buying age to purchase homes. We have such a severe shortage that basic supply and demand trends show that house prices will go up on the long-term trajectory. And then there's Florida. People are moving here in droves and they need a place to live. So the demand's never going to keep up, and that is the cushion we have that protects us against price drops and a market crash. So let's get back to the basics. It is important to touch on rate, but we also can't forget their why, so we need to ask those questions. For buyers, that could be, what would owning a home mean to you? Or if it's a move-up buyer, what prompted you to take this first step towards buying a new home? Or what would stand out as the perfect home for you? Because all of a sudden it matters a lot less when they haven't had a hot shower in a year. Yes, I had that happen recently with a buyer. All they wanted to do was get a hot shower. Or their landlord's selling and they need a place to go. For sellers, the market conditions don't matter if they have to sell for a job move or they need more room for a growing family. But we need to know their why so that way, if they are hesitant, we can just keep pointing them back to that. There's a reason they have connected with you, and it's our duty to remind them of that. And if you think they aren't making a mistake in waiting, think of all the people last year who said they were going to wait till rates got down to buy. They stabbed themselves in the foot. The buyers I was just talking about are very glad to be in a home now because they definitely did not want to wait another year for a hot shower. So I'd love to know, and you can email me your response. Do you think that buyers getting the 3% rate got a better deal? Because all I can think of is the buyer frenzy 2 years ago when they were giving up inspections, repairs, appraisals, sometimes paying over value. And forget seller concessions, I had buyers paying sellers' closing costs. For that amount, they could just buy the rate down. So I don't think it's as black and white that a lower rate is a better deal. Here's some scripting I've found to be effective. I acknowledge the concern that I focus on payment to try to shift their perspective. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. and Mr. Consumer. The media and even people in the industry hype up and focus too much on the rate and miss the bigger picture. How much are you paying in rent right now? You may be surprised at what you could buy for that same amount or a little bit higher. So if rates drop in a year or two, you can refinance. Considering the huge increase in rent over the last few years, do you think you'll be able to negotiate a lower rent payment in a year or two? That question right there has stopped people in their tracks. Also, something that usually happens when rates go down is that home prices go up due to demand. Think back to 2021. Not only could that push you out of being able to buy, if you wait, you're missing out on the potential of gaining a ton of equity and wealth. So buy now, and if rates go down, you can still take advantage of that. Here's my thoughts regarding rates too. We wouldn't be in business for almost 30 years if our rates weren't competitive, but what I've learned is that only a small percentage of clients are truly only interested in rate. I know this because when I ask them what's the most important thing to them in a lender, that's rarely the answer. People do business with people they trust, and what buyers value the most is a true professional who's transparent, works with integrity, provides creative solutions to optimize their specific situation, and has the knowledge and expertise to guide them through the process step by step, all the way till closing and after. I look at my relationship with realtors as a partnership. So when you refer clients to a lender and the lender wows them, it increases your value as a trusted resource, so they are more likely to refer people to you in the future. That is a win for all and how businesses grow organically. Bottom line is a rate won't get you referrals, but good service and a smooth process will. In closing, you and your mindset can make such a difference. Yes, we're in the real estate business, and yes, we benefit from people buying and selling, but that doesn't make the demographic information and all of this market research any less true. So let's practice optimism. Let's use the data. Let's be the leaders. Let's gain market share. Consumers are being fed incorrect information, and as professionals, it's our jobs to educate them and save them from a mistake. That's what makes you the difference. Happy selling, everyone.